Playing the same deck he played last time that actually won our Rags to Riches 9, and that is Burn, playing as Mike Noisy now. I'm not really 100% sure. It's pretty confusing, potentially, that they have the same first name-ish, but we can just use our last names, and we'll be totally fine. But anyway, Mike is playing Mono Green Stompy, which, as Andrew was telling me earlier, is kind of the boogeyman at this point.
Yeah, since the introduction of Burning Tree Emissary.
So we'll have the life pad out shortly. One of our main users or something else.
Awesome. So we normally have our life counter here on the screen. Right now, we're just going to have to keep track of it in our heads because it's going to be there in a couple of minutes. But for now, we can see Michael dropping a Burning Tree Emissary into Curse of the Pierced Heart.
Oh, wow.
Which is
That's
not something
amazing.
I've seen before.
Yeah, it looks like
Personally.
he's done some modification to the traditional burn deck. BTE has really been a huge card for the format.
Yep.
Because it turns out there's not a lot that can gain or that can deal with that much tempo gain.
Just
And-
a 0-mana 2/2.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's so brutal. So even though there are some things in mono green that it can't help cast, like when they have a handful of 1-drops, being able to power out, say, a 1-drop in a Volt Scourge, or a Nest Invader, or a River Boa, is just insane. And most decks don't have ways to deal with that.
Yeah, we
And-
see an attack here from Mike, and gonna give Michael the opportunity to trade, and he does. So it might be that Michael is taking the control role here, where he's got a lot of burn spells to take care of Mike's creatures, and just gonna rely on stuff like the Curse of the Pierced Heart to take the game away. What do you think about that game plan for Michael?
I think that would be a great game plan, especially when he's starting with Curse of the Pierced Heart. A lot of the play between burn and mono green is, if you don't have a curse, ends up being burn just trying to race him down. But he has a clock. He has
Yep.
a clock in the field. As long as he can make sure that mono green doesn't have persistent damage, he'll ultimately win the race most likely. So I think it's a great plan to be blocking there.
All right, so we see 20, Michael Wallio having blocked, Mike having the pump spell to keep the Nettle Sentinel alive, and then Mike now looks like going down to 18. That's 2 Curse of the Pierced Heart triggers. Michael leaving up 3 mana here. I see a couple of Fire Blasts in his hand, and Mike going to get in there for at least 3 damage. And here's a Lightning Bolt. Let's see if Mike has a combat trick. Now this is pretty dangerous. Playing against something like Infect and Legacy, something that you see a lot is the idea of taking the damage first and then using your removal spell so that if they have a pump spell to save their creature, you don't take the extra damage. So what do you think about Michael casting that Lightning Bolt? Kind of aggressive here, right?
I would have actually done it on my turn, I think.
Yep.
Just to make sure, because while that doesn't bait out a pump spell in any way, or wait for him to try to cast one, it guarantees that you remove part of his clock.
Yep.
And I think that's really important in the matchup.
Yep. Mike dropping a 0-mana 2/2 followed by a 1-mana 2/2 in Nest
Yep.
Invader, which after playing a 1-mana 2/2 in turn 1 with that Nettle Sentinel. Something interesting here is that Young Wolf is going to be a pretty good foil to Michael's plan of potentially trying to kill all of Mike's creatures. Because that's going to take 2 burn spells, which is definitely something that Michael does not want to see. Although there's a Magma Jet in Michael's hand, which could help him a lot. I think that his hand is just Magma Jet, Fire Blast, which is not what you want if your plan is to control the board.
No, it's really not. It's kind of unfortunate for him. I haven't caught which cards he drew, so he may have went on this plan before he started up.
I think he had 2 Fire Blasts for a while. Anyway, Mike gonna attack for 5, and Michael probably gonna go for a Magma Jet on one of those creatures. Oh, he's just gonna take it once the player on the pump spell here potentially.
Yeah.
So 19 gonna go down to 14, taking 5, and Mike's staying at 17 from those 3 Curse of the Pierced Heart triggers. Maybe Michael's just gonna go for it. He's got 10 points of burn in his hand.
That's true. He could try for it.
All right, Nettle Sentinel coming down, or not Nettle Sentinel, Nest Invader.
If he picks up another,
Jeez.
he'll need, I think, 1 or 2 more burn spells in order to do it. But if he gets those, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, the problem is
Because he has
casting
the
those
4th
Fire
mountain.
Blasts.
Right, but he has the 4th mountain, so he actually can cast them. If he bursts him down to 8, he'll be able to sack all of his mountains to cast both of them.
So there's actually I think that was not a Magma Jet, but an Incinerate in Michael's hand.
Oh,
Which actually,
that's way better.
yeah, I don't remember. I think that he was playing Lightning Strike last time, and we were like, why are you playing Lightning Strike when you can just play Incinerate?
Yeah.
And he was like, the style points, man. It doesn't there's no River Boas in the format, right?
Turns out there are in fact literal river boats.
So Chain Lightning coming down, gonna put Mike down to 14.
Yeah. He only needs 2 more burn spells.
He needs 4 more damage, right? Because he in his hand he has 10. and he has a Curse of the Pierce Heart, so he needs one more burn spell.
That's true. Yeah, he needs one more burn spell, and he's got this.
It's interesting that he didn't cast the Incinerate last turn. He just kind of let his 3 mana float forever. He probably should cast it this turn, because if he casts it this turn, it means that any burn spell is lethal.
Right.
Now, does Mike have lethal here? He has, looks like 9 damage, which is not going to kill Michael unless Mike has a pump spell, but I guess Michael holding up the Incinerate to make sure that he can stop a big pump spell for lethal.
Right. And so this will put him down pretty low. Yeah, if he casts that instep, there's a pretty high chance he just wins.
Yeah, if it was a Magma Jet, he would be very likely to just win.
Yeah.
Because he'd get 2 scries, and then the 1 damage from the Curse to the Pierce Heart will probably be lethal in Mike's upkeep.
All right, I take back the it's just better now. I take it back. So if he goes for an end step, I think he'll be in a very good spot.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about burn decks is sometimes you just have to say, all right, well, I have like a 50-50 or whatever, or a 2/3 chance to win if I just draw my burn spell. And here's the Incinerate. Gonna go face, put Mike down to 10. Yep, Mike going down to 10 here.
So basically, as long as he doesn't rip a land or a Thermo Alchemist, I think he's got this.
Yeah, Thermo Alchemist is probably gonna spell doom for Michael. And what did he get? I think he
He's
did
tapping
it.
2. Oh
my
Pierce
gosh.
Heart.
That's it. That's good enough. That's good enough.
That's good enough. He got it.
Yep, Fire Blast you, pass, upkeep, take 2. And
Yeah, he
Michael
got
gonna
it.
take game 1 down from Mike now. Awesome, as we see Michael Wallio, who again won Rags to Riches 9, Rag 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he made some sharp plays there.
Yep. I really like his patience with that Incinerate. Just saying, okay, looks like I can race you. Because he did use his Burning Tree Emissary, which often is like there to get in for damage.
Yeah.
Like to attack for 1 or 2 times and be like a 2 or 4 damage burn spell, it seems like, for 0 mana. This time it was just like, I'm gonna block and trade with your pump spell. He wanted to trade with the Nettle Sentinel.
Right.
And he ended up using a burn spell on the Nettle Sentinel, which is interesting. Like, if he didn't do that, would he have died a turn earlier? But then he would have had another burn spell for Mike's face, right?
Right, but I don't think he would have been able to get... He would have had another burn spell for his face, but I think he would have taken something like 6 more damage off that Nettle Sentinel. And so I actually think he would have lost the race.
Yeah,
but I
not
would
to
have to
mention,
review the plays.
not to mention, like, making the game last another turn is better when you have a Curse of the Pierced Heart.
Absolutely.
Why don't we take a look at the sideboards really quick? So, Mike Naus's sideboard, we've got 2 Gutshot, 3 Feed the Clan, 2 Epic Confrontation, 2 Viridian Longbow, 4 Gleeful Sabotage, and 2 Scattershot Archer. None of that, I guess 3 Feed the Clan is pretty awesome against
Yeah, the
burn.
Feed the Clan is amazing.
Feed the Clan is interesting, because that's like, I don't think, it feels like there's not a lot of ways to turn that on in Mike's deck.
Right, but the 5 life is just enough a lot of the time. And if he has a Rancor on a creature, pretty much on any creature, that's enough to turn it on.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, that is gonna swing this matchup a lot. If Mike can get Feed the Clan off for 10,
Yeah.
that's probably just game.
That'll
almost
mostly
every
just be
time,
game.
unless it's like that's all he has in his hand. What do we have in Michael's sideboard?
In Michael's sideboard, we have a Relic of Progenitus, or 2 Relic of Progenitus, 3 Pyroblast, 3 Smash, 3 Electrickery, 2 Flaring Pain, and 2 Molten Rain. I think Electrickery is the most likely thing to come in.
Yeah, we
but
can
I'm
take
not
a look
sure it's great.
at Mike's deck list to see what the targets are. There are 4 Kyrian Ranger, 4 Nest Invader, which like kind of, 4 Skargan Pit Skulk, which again kind of, 4 Young Wolf, which again kind of.
Like, yeah.
2
like,
Basking Root Wallow, which like kind of, and 2 River Boa. So it's a
Right.
good thing that he's packing those Incinerates, by the way.
Right, oh yeah.
Main deck River Boas. But interesting that there are no Volt Scourge in this deck because there are 4 Burning Tree Emissary, but there are no Volt Scourge that he's playing. I guess just
He might have
playing.
just loaded up on other... He might feel too loaded up on other 2-drops.
Yeah, he's got. Well, I mean, it's
Although
not really a 2-drop.
really virtually a 1-drop.
Yeah, it doesn't have black mana. It's
Yeah.
actually just a 1-drop.
Yeah, it's actually a 1-drop.
So
Never
Mike,
mind.
looking at like what is that, 5 card? Looks like he had 1 land and a couple of 1-drops, so pretty good hand for Mike. Michael gonna pull out some number of cards. Looks like just his 7, and he's got a land. It looks like a Magma Jet and Thermal Alchemist, which seems pretty good in this matchup. Another land. Yeah, that hand looks pretty good. All right, so our player's gonna keep. Mike going to start on Forest Kyrian Ranger. Pretty good if you only have 1 Forest, because it effectively makes a mana and attacks for 1.
Yeah.
Michael gonna Chain Lightning that, say Bolt the Bird, as it were.
Yep. Pretty good.
It looks like
Especially
Mike
good
just
against
drew
Mike's
a
house
land.
of 2 Skargan Pit Skulk.
Yeah, that Young Wolf coming down, very likely to trigger those Pit Skulks this turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if Michael has like an instant and he waits for that, okay, but that's a Searing Blaze. No, he's just gonna play a Thermal Alchemist, which I like.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like
pretty
there are
good
any
right
more
now.
cards in Michael, or any more lands in Michael's hand. It looks just like maybe 2 Searing Blaze, a Magma Jet, a Curse of the Pierced Heart, and a Fire Blast is what I'm guessing. So let's see. Michael's just gonna take 1.
I like not blocking there. I think not blocking there is a great plan.
It's really interesting because like you definitely think that Mike could have a pump spell, but the fact is that blocking I don't think gets punished in this situation and would have been a lot better because of that Skargan Pit Skull.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice like hedge line and it's a safer line, and Michael's hand is pretty good, so I kind of like that.
Against the things you're most likely to see, I think it's a very good line to not block there, especially because Thermal Alchemist is one of the ways that you win the race.
Yep.
A lot of the time, that's 2 mana, deal 6. And so if you can end up triggering it multiple times, that's how you win against Mono Green as they flood the board.
It's like a Thermal Alchemist is like Curse of the Pierced Heart, -1 because it doesn't have haste, and then +1 for every spell you cast while it's out there. Plus it also just blocks 2/2s, which is so good in this matchup.
Right, it's very good.
Alright, so Magma Jet gonna come down. Michael not casting that Curse of the Pierced Heart, which means he probably won't ever cast it, but that's probably fine. Like he probably has enough burn just with the Thermal Alchemist and casting a few burn
Yeah,
spells.
probably does.
We'll see if he decides to block with that Thermal Alchemist, because like gaining that life off the O3 is really important, but also if it gets killed, you lose a lot of damage. So
Right.
Mike's been stuck on 1 land for a while here, but with that Kyrian Ranger, it does limit what pump spells he'll be able to play. So drawing, I think a land, maybe not. Yeah, land.
I wonder, would you have burned out the Pit Skulk or the Quirion Ranger while your opponent is stuck on 1 land?
Probably the Kyrian Ranger. It's a little bit greedier.
It is a little bit greedier.
In that, like, if they draw land, then you just didn't do much. But if they don't draw land, that's like a big deal.
Yeah.
It's like a really big deal because it could stop Mike from being able to play a 2-drop. So here he's going to go ahead and block on the Young Wolf, and looks like no punish, which is awesome.
Yep.
Burning Tree Emissary coming down for Mike, which is a really good thing to see here, and a Skargan Pit Skulk, which is going to trigger Thermal Alchemist, triggering Mike down to 18, and Michael going to untap and draw. So Burning Tree Emissary not getting the full 2 free mana, so it effectively was a 1 mana 2/2.
Yeah.
But that's still pretty good. I mean, most of
Yeah.
Mike's deck is 1 mana 2/2s, as it turns out.
Right, and it turns out, yeah, 1 mana 2/2 is fairly okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So Michael gonna go ahead and put Mike down to 17. At least they like go by Michael and Mike. It like makes it a lot easier to say who's who.
It does.
And gonna go for a Lightning Bolt on the Pit Skulk. Just it's a 2/2. The rest are 2/2s, but he can't block that one.
Right.
So
And notice that he's played 6 creatures on what was his 4th turn with just 2 lands. Like he didn't even have 2 lands until turn 3.
yeah, 1 mana creatures will do that.
Yeah. This is why Mono Green is pretty powerful. Is just it can do things like that. It can have a bunch of 2/2s while only having had access to a couple of mana.
So Mike gonna crash here. Michael going for a block again, exposing himself to a potential pump spell. But I think Mike's kind of shown that he doesn't have it at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basking Root Wall coming down. Interesting card. And a Nettle Sentinel, another 1 mana 2/2. And I'm gonna pass it back to Michael. So like, yeah, creatures generally beating burn spells in the race here. So Michael gonna get a free damage here, Rift Bolt. I like the plan of just having a Thermal Alchemist out, getting 2 to 3 damage a turn.
Yep.
While also burning your opponent's creatures to like give yourself more time. But it looks
Yeah.
like he's just like ready to go face here, which I like.
Yeah.
Because he's got a lot of burn in his hand.
And he's at 16. He's very he has
There's an
against this
Incinerate.
board essentially 2 turns to burn him out from 12 with a Thermal Alchemist.
Yeah, so there's another
a
Thermal
second
Alchemist,
Thermal
and I think he has a Curse of the Pierced Heart, Incinerate, Fire Blast, and Searing Blaze in his hand.
That Alchemist probably also buys him an extra turn.
Yep, having another O3 because Mike has 2 2/2s in play is a big deal.
Oh, yeah. So I think he's actually in reasonable shape here.
Yeah, I mean, Mike has a lot of creatures, but Michael has blockers, so he's only,
Right.
if Mike taps out, Michael takes 5. If Naus taps out here, then Walio is going to take 5 damage. And then, well, it's not quite tapping out because of the Kyrian Ranger. He'll be able to get one of those mana back, but like, but that's like Mike's whole turn. He's got a lot of cards in his hand. So he's going to untap the BTE, get another mana here, and play a Young Wolf, untap the Nettle Sentinel. And then Michael's going to get a damage in. And how close is he to lethal here? Because he has 2, 4 with the Fire Blast, 2 more. I think he just has lethal.
I think he has lethal.
Like, he just has lethal now with the Fire Blast and the Incinerate, as long as it actually is a Fire Blast. And if he doesn't, the Searing Blaze is going to be pretty big here.
Right. I think he's sitting pretty no matter what he has. I think No, he should have lethal if he just goes face with a 2-mana burn spell. Because he'll get
not alone.
5 plus then a Fire Blast plus 2 more, so it'll actually be over lethal.
If he has Fire Blast, he definitely has lethal, but I don't know if he does. So it looks like Michael going for a Searing. I mean,
I
Searing
thought I
Blaze.
saw one in his hand, but I could very well be wrong.
Same, and also Searing Blaze is still lethal with Fire Blast. All right. No, maybe he doesn't. So Curse of the Pierce
Looks like he
card.
doesn't, yeah.
Incinerate in his hand and a Mystery card. So gonna pass it back to Mike. Maybe he's just holding it up. All right, Mike going to attack.
Oh yeah, there's not a Fire Blast in his hand.
All right.
His Fire Blast had Old Borders, and he doesn't have anything with Old Borders
sure?
in his hand. I think so.
I don't think they do. I mean, I don't think Michael is playing the kind with the old border.
I could be wrong.
All right, so another Young Wolf coming down. Michael gonna, yeah, he just has lethal now with Incinerate.
Yeah, now it just any burn spell kills him.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be our match. Get you for down to 2, cast an Incinerate. Mike's gonna say all right, and Michael's gonna take it down 2-0 against Mike Naus. Our previous Rags to Riches champion, taking down the Boogeyman deck of the format pretty handily. Although we did see Mike Naus not really draw any of his sideboard cards,
Oh yeah,
which
he didn't rip those feed.
would have been a pretty big deal.
Although, I don't know that it would have swung this particular game, because he actually had him overkilled by about 6 damage there, with untapping his... Oh no, he didn't have a 1-mana burn spell in his hand.
Yeah, and he didn't have
Yeah.
like the Fire Blast we thought he did.
Yeah.
So he actually like it made quite a difference.
It did make quite a difference. All right. It'll be interesting to see as the day goes on if those do make a huge difference as we get to see more of this matchup. Because I imagine there might be... This matchup will probably come up again today. Mono Green is a